baby.
I'm dying.
That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yo, what is up, A2D fam? We are back, another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, Steve Rochelle, being joined by the guy on my right, this ray of sunshine to my right over here, Mr. Zach Reber. Zach, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling, brother? You good?
Steven, how am I feeling? The audacity of you. I was umpiring. I was doing the plate. I got smoked in the nuts in like a 17U baseball game. Then it started raining and it just monsooned, and we got swallowed by that. So then the rest of the games got canceled, and I got home at 6:30, ordered a burger from Applebee's or somewhere along that nature. I don't know. The wifey ordered it from one of those fucking places.
We're gonna
a little weed. We're drinking a little beer.
We're gonna talk.
And now we're about to go on our normal Saturday night shenanigans. That is the Weekly Roundup. Does that about cover it?
Just about. And speaking about weekly
shenanigans, and as always, Stephen, who are we brought to you by?
Our good friends down there over at EXP Realty. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, you're looking to change a career brokerage, contact our guy Alan Foy over at EXP Realty LLC at 302-682-6820, or visit him at Alan Foy at exprealty.com. Now, obviously, we got a lot to unload. Obviously, we're always going to talk Philly sports. We will talk a little hockey. I already see Dave's in there. And speaking of Dave, you need to send me your info, man. I got to send you something. Always up in the chat. Always here on the Weekly Roundup. I gotta hook you up, brother. But that being said, the poll question. The NBA draft was this week. The draft happened. You had some trades. You have still some rumors swirling around. But Zach wanted to pose this question to the fam. So as I said, let's run with it. Jabari Smith will be the best player of that 2022 draft class. Agree, disagree, fam. Let's hear you off. Facebook and Instagram. Twitter. YouTube, wherever you're catching us from. Let's hear what you got to say about it. How are you feeling about it, Zach? Yeah, you're rude about me again, bro. And there goes that. So we're definitely gonna hear some issues.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody can still hear me before we do this. Can you still hear me, Steven? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. But apparently Skip Bayless wants to.
Okay, I don't know why Skip Bayless is here, but this is ridiculous. Anyway, I've got a feeling you would say Chet Holmgren. You give me an old school 80s basketball type feel. I feel like you're gonna go with Chet Holmgren, the big, it's the defense, and he's big and lanky. I feel like that would be your throw. Is that where you would go if you had to go best player in the draft?
No, I mean I'm good with your assessment of this one.
Okay, so yeah, I guess what we're saying was this was my question that I came up with. And you were like, yeah, sure, let's run with it. And the part of it was because I've actually been saying for months on this show when we were watching college basketball, doing all types of live college basketball stuff, as our shows were going on with college basketball games, I felt like Jabari Smith, I said it back in, I think in January for the first time. I think I remember saying Jabari Smith is going to be the best player, the best player at the next level in this upcoming draft, which I think is saying a lot because I think Banchero is going to be really good. And I love the fact that his mom, and everything that she is, WNBA and all that, and the influence she's had on him. He's going to be a really good player, I think, at the next level. I think Holmgren's going to be a good player too. But I think of the three,
I think the other question
I think Smith and Banchero will be better. But I think Smith's got superstar written all over him. Like, I don't know if the other two, I don't know if Banchero ever becomes a superstar.
Well, I guess the other question that you would have to ask is what team you think got themselves the most improved team after the draft, regardless.
Well, the Thunder. It depends on how you look at it, right? It depends on how you look at it. The Thunder have all these draft picks in the next 5 years, which I find funny because Oklahoma City, they figured out free wants to come here. Like, we're not going to beat out the Miamis and the LAs and the Houstons and the New Yorks and things like that. That's where, even the Chicagos, whatever, like, that's where all these big name free agents want to go from a basketball perspective. Want to go to, like, the big pop-in, nightlife type cities where, they can be on TV all the time. The LAs, the Miamis, the things like that. The New Yorks, right? The Bostons, those types of things. Probably more New York, Miami, and LA than Boston, but still, you get where I'm going with that. It's the big basketball markets that attract the big name free agents. Oklahoma City's never going to beat them out in that way. So you've got two options: either trade for stars, trade for people you bring in and try to make runs, which they've already done. They tried to trade for multiple guys, different guys, and bring them in and say make runs at different times after breaking up KD and Westbrook, and it didn't go anywhere. So now you go to this thing where. I don't know if it's like the process with Sam Hinkie because, I think that was a little bit more – it just, we didn't have what? Like they've got, like I think they said 15 first-round picks over the next 4 years or something crazy. We didn't have that many. You know what I mean? We weren't stockpiling. They've got 18 first-round picks or something in the next 5 years.
I think it's
we didn't have that many.
What they're doing over there at OKC is a definite different spin on the process because – listen, like me and you were talking about off air, like they're not going to be able to attract those free agents. That you're going to have to draft the best of the best. So we'll see what their version of the process is going to look like, right?
No, you can draft them all within a few years of each other, and you build this young core together. All of a sudden, you're young, you're the age, you start to win. It's kind of fun, all of this chemistry that's there. And maybe you can convince those young guys, to actually sign long-term with you and build some sort of stability as opposed to them just fleeing to the next, to be the next big free agent name that goes to one of the other cities that we talked about. Which if you're going to, if your idea is, okay, how do we get guys to sign long-term here and commit? This might be one of the few ways you could do it. You get a bunch of 19, 20, 21-year-old kids on the roster all at the same time. They can all flat out ball. They can all be, they can all be all-star level players and have an impact. And you got, 5, 6, 7 of them all of a sudden that you build a core with, and you go, wow, you got something here. Next thing you know, you're making a deep playoff run, and all of a sudden it becomes a lot of fun to know that you're in a position where you can win. And if you guys can all stay together through your prime, a lot of winning can be done. And maybe 3 of them decide to sign long-term contracts. You obviously can't keep all of them, but if you could get 2 or 3 guys, if you get two of these guys from your main core of whatever stars come out of the guys they're going to draft here, and get 2 of them to commit to long-term contracts, I mean, that seems like a win for Oklahoma City, and it's probably the only way they're going to get 2 guys or 3 guys that are star quality players. You're not going to sign any of them in free agency coming from other destinations, and it's hard to trade for one, star quality player, let alone 2 or 3. So I like where they're going. Whether it works out or not, who knows? But I like where they're going. Orlando, great. Banchero's great. That's fine. But Orlando's one of those places where basketball careers go to die, or like they look like they have a lot of promise, and then they just kill themselves out of nowhere, like the Penny Hardaway type of shit. It's. So I don't, for me, it's like, yeah, great. They got a couple young players. I don't really I don't know where that's going to go. I don't really expect it to go anywhere, I don't think. Houston, no, Houston's interesting, right? Because Jabari Smith, I think he's the best player in the draft. I think he's going to be a flat out superstar. Houston already has, another good young player that, is on that roster that you build around, a couple good young guys that you can kind of build around with him being the main star. And then Houston's a place where free agents do want to come and play. Free agents are interested, at least they'll listen to you if you're Houston, because Houston's one of those cities where Houston's got a cool nightlife and a lot of great restaurants, and it's just a lot of things popping about it for players. They might listen to you because it's interesting to them to go out and they feel like they're in an entertainment city. I guess you could call it. The LAs, the New Yorks, the Miamis, things like that. There's things to do. You can have a lot of fun and enjoy your $300 million contract or whatever it is you just signed. So Houston might be in the best spot going forward as far as the young players that they have, plus, their ability to maybe attract main free agent names. And then obviously anytime a Kyrie Irving or somebody like that wants to get traded, Houston will be on their list, right? Don's excited about getting Jaden Ivey, another good young player. This is an exciting draft. You look at it, like a lot of good young players where you're like, okay, I like a lot of these guys. Right? A lot of them could turn into good players. But, obviously you can only have one guy that's going to be the best player, right? Who of these guys, and maybe it's not any of the three we've mentioned. Maybe it is Jaden Ivey. I've heard somebody, me and my buddies in my degenerate gambling room the other day were talking about how we think Johnny Davis could arguably be the best guard in this draft when everything is said and done. The kid from Wisconsin that went 10th overall, I believe, to I don't remember who he went to now. Was it San Antonio that he went to? He went somewhere where you're like, yeah, that's probably a good spot for him. But he could end up being the best guard in the draft when everything's said and done. He went 10th overall. Smith's a forward. Banchero's a forward. Holmgren is listed as a forward, which is crazy because he looks like he's about 8 foot tall. But, it's that new breed of big man. What's going to be interesting with Holmgren, Steven, is how much weight he puts on, how much stronger he gets, right? Is that almost like when you look at him, you go like, it was Washington, right? Yeah, you're right, Mark. He went to Washington. Yeah, I thought that was a good place for him.
Washington.
Yeah, that's for somebody like Johnny Davis. Maybe convince Bradley Beal to stick around. You never know. But yeah, when you look at the Holmgren kid, you're like, dude, if you could just put on like 20 to 25 pounds of muscle, you just all of a sudden look like you'd be dominant. But right now he looks like you breathe on him, man. He's going to fall over. And I know, well, yeah, you look at the way he played in college. Well, college ain't the NBA, though. Like, your NBA big man, like, what you think's going to happen when he gets in there with, like, these bruisers and these guys, these Draymond Greens of the world and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, Draymond Green's going to take that kid's lunch money, every single day. And that kid can't afford to miss any meals. He's, good Lord, we need to eat as much as possible. Draymond Green can't be stealing your lunch every time we face off because, you're 195 pounds while being 7 foot tall. I didn't know they did. He's built like me, Steven. Like, seriously. It's like really, that's what it looks like. I'm like 5'11" and $120, 120 pounds. And I'm like 5'11". This is that kid. He's 7 foot and 195 pounds. If I was 7 foot tall, like, that would be that'd be me. Like, he's the equivalent of me out there right now.
Oh, man. So, what do you think about what was it? Jokic's brother getting moved around too.
Whose brother? Jokic's brother got drafted where? I saw the guy Nikola Jovic with I was like, all right, like, this is really, really freaky. That like your name is like one letter off from Nikola Jovic.
I thought that was his brother. Weird, I thought that was.
I don't think that was his brother. Is that who you're talking about? That guy?
I think so.
Yeah, that's just another Serbian player. That's not his brother. That's just the kid. That's his name is Nikola Jovic instead of Jokic. Are we sure? Go look that one up. By the way, I'm watching the Men's College World Series right now.
I guess we can pick that one up.
Yeah, Skip. Westbrook is so sensitive. That makes me laugh so hard. Don't say anything you wouldn't say to my face. Like what? Like, what would you do to Skip Bayless? Like, what is Russell Westbrook insinuating that he would smack Skip Bayless in the face or something if he saw him face to face? Like, would he really? Is it really worth you ending your NBA career to smack Skip Bayless in the mouth?
I think we're getting that soft as just in general as people.
I mean, this is the same dude that got mad because a Philadelphia fan poured popcorn on him. Like again, like, I'm not like, I don't condone assaulting athletes or throwing beer cans or things like that. But it was popcorn. He didn't even like throw the bag at him. He just poured some popcorn on him. Like, it'd be like, again, like Joel Embiid would have been like, oh, popcorn, and started eating it and shit. Started sprinkling it on his face and shit and munching on it. Like, Joel Embiid would have had fun with it. Like, it's fucking popcorn. This dude is so sensitive because you called him Westbrook. Well, like, yeah, the dude is he is a fucking, like, it's a brick factory anytime he shoots the ball. I mean, geez, good Lord. Like, what do you want for, like, go look at your career fucking 3-point percentage. Like, what are we talking about?
All right, and what do you think about what the Sixers did? How are you feeling about that?
I like the Melton trade. I think I don't. Yeah, I like the Melton trade. Danny Green was a waste of space at this point, and I mean the 23rd pick, great. Like I know we already hit kind of in a position in the first round with Maxey where you went, well, okay, you were lucky to hit and actually get a guy that looks like he can become a superstar at that spot. That's unlikely to happen again. The 23rd pick, you're trading for a guy in Melton who, if you watched the Grizzlies last year, right? Like John Morant missed a lot of time. And, you thought, John Morant, when he was out, the Grizzlies are going to struggle. Part of the reason they didn't, they actually had like an 11-game winning streak when Morant was out. And part of the reason they won and they didn't struggle during that time was because a guy like Melton stepped in and actually played, raised his game to the next level and played like a guy that looks like he's a starting quality player in this league. So I think he does a lot of things that will help the team and make you a better team than you were before. He's not, some superstar guy or anything that I think will grow into that, but I know he can help me as a sixth man type guy in a lot of different ways. Can score from the perimeter. Offensively, he's creative and there's, a lot of different things that he can do when he's on the floor to, say, okay, he adds things to my offensive repertoire and things that I can do as a team. I think he adds more than what Danny Green. I know he adds more than what Danny Green did. And, whoever the 23rd pick is, or whoever you would have selected there, probably wasn't going to be ready to step in and make as much of an impact as Melton's going to make this year. So you're in win now mode. You've got a 33-year-old James Harden, and you don't know how much longer Joel Embiid's got as the best big man in the game. So you're going for it, right? So, I mean, I'm a fan of that trade. That is what it is.
Yeah, that's another thing you got to worry about because he's still the injuries are still racking up on Joe. So how long is he going to be one of, or if not the best players in the NBA? How many more years of that are you going to be? Is he going to be able to sustain that moving forward?
Well, how long does anybody sustain that level of greatness? Right? Like that's what I look at it is. You can only be that great for that long.
I didn't catch any of that. You keep breaking up, brother.
When you look how about now? Everything seems fine on my end. I talk to you, I can hear you.
There you go.
I said when it comes to players and greatness, and you talk about like players in all sports and how great they've been, how long does anybody's like peak years of greatness last? You usually talk about a 5-year stretch for anybody, unless we're talking about like rare examples, all-time greats, the Tom Brady's and the Michael Jordans, and guys like that, right? Like Gretzky and guys like that. But like Ovechkin's a guy where you look at now and you go, my God, how is this guy still doing this shit?
The other
15 years into his career, it's insane.
The other thing we'll want to touch on is what do you think about the Nets getting ready to implode completely? Everyone wants out now.
Yeah, I mean,
the Ben Simmons effect.
That was an absolute disaster. Like, you knew it was going to be a disaster. That had no structure from the beginning. Anytime you bring in two superstars and they handpick a guy to be the head coach, this is just so fucked. Yeah. And they handpick a guy who's never, like, Steve Nash comes in and you're like, what? Like, it never made any sense from the beginning. And I don't really know if the guy's proven he can coach a lick in this league yet. Excuse me. But, they had a great roster since he got there. And you're like, have you really, like, proven to me how great of a coach you could be? Like, we all kind of wrote Jason Kidd off after his first run as a head coach, and he's proven to be a guy that can coach his ass off in Dallas. All of a sudden is learned and gotten much better. And you're like, yeah, this is a guy that's going to have a great future as head coach in this league and probably is in a great spot in Dallas where spent years as a player, great relationship with Mike Cuban. And they've got a superstar in Luka Doncic. And another place at Dallas is a place where, free agents would like to go, especially if you play with a guy like Luka, right? So, I mean, it's you look at situations. It's like I think that whole thing with Brooklyn looked forced from the beginning. It just seemed forced. Everything about it just seemed really forced. And you're just like this. I don't know if I thought it was going to be this bad, but I didn't think it was ever going to work at the level where they were going to win a championship or something like that. What's fun is where do those guys go? Kyrie, he's everybody talking about LA. Do we really think he's going to play with LeBron again?
LA, right? And speaking of Westbrook, that's probably what we'll probably see swapped out and moved to New York as
Westbrook goes to Brooklyn and plays with KD again. Oh, that would be so weird.
But also, I thought KD wanted out too.
Maybe he does, but doesn't mean he's out just because he wants out. But wouldn't that be weird if Kyrie goes to LA and Kyrie plays with LeBron again, and then Westbrook goes to Brooklyn and ends up playing with KD again? This would be so fucking strange. It would. Oh my God. And I can't believe. I mean, like, as far as I know, Westbrook and KD are still cool, but like Kyrie, like, this is the same dude that when, like, the story from Brian Windhurst was the dude for ESPN that covers the Cavs and covers the NBA. He said that when Cleveland won the championship and LeBron was in the locker room celebrating and doing his thing, that Kyrie ended up FaceTiming Kobe in his locker. He's just sitting there in his locker FaceTiming Kobe. Like, Kyrie's a strange dude. I really don't think he doesn't really like anybody, let alone somebody like LeBron, who's a total attention whore. So I don't really know if I see that one happening. But he's got a lot of cool cities on that list of teams that he'd like to go to. Kyrie is such a beggar and a chooser. That guy. Like, let me just sit out 3/4 of the year and not play a goddamn game, do a goddamn thing to assert any energy and wear myself out, and then have the audacity in the offseason to demand a trade to one of 11 different. I'm cool with going to one of these 8 teams. You're cool with, you're making demand? What the fuck are you talking? Yeah, how is you like? Good Lord, the sense of entitlement with this guy. He's got a set of cajones on him.
He knows what he wants. Oh man! All right, what's up, Big G's in the house? He says he's agreeing to the poll.
Yeah, see, Greg, me and Greg rarely ever agree about anything, so that's, I'm with you. I don't know. Would Smith, does he play well in Orlando? They've got the other young guard there. That's kind of like a ball dominant type player, but I don't know. I mean, I think you take the best player in the draft. For me, Jabari Smith's the best player in the draft, but I don't know. I mean, Banchero. I mean, I don't think Banchero is going to be some scrub. But yeah, I mean, for me, I look at Smith and I go,
take the best player in the draft. You take the best player in the draft, unless you have like the best player.
I think Orlando thinks Banchero is the best player in the draft. I heard it put best like this.
Player, in the NBA at that position. That's the only reason you do that. You don't do that.
I heard it put best like this. Like, there was pretty much 3 number 1 picks in this draft. Most years, Banchero, Smith, Holmgren, they would have gone number 1 in most years. Like, if you would just put, just take them all singly and put them in a normal draft year, they'd be the number 1 pick. They just don't happen to be coming out in the same year this year.
Don saying Joe, he thinks JoJo's still got like 5-6 more years left in him. I hope he does. I hope you're right, Don.
Dude, his knees are going to fall off in 5 to 6 years.
What do you think? What do you even think he's gonna be like Jeff Rutland down there, like freaking trying to hold his knees together with like freaking?
I mean, big men, all 7-foot big men that weren't named Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, and even Shaq went downhill like pretty quickly after 30. But 7-foot big men that I mean, how quickly was Yao Ming like an all-star and the best big man? Like one of him and Shaq, the 2 best. Actually, he was the best big man in basketball. In 04. Right, 05, he's probably the best big man in basketball. Next thing you know, he goes from an all-star every year, perennial all-star, to his career's over because of a foot injury. Big men, they don't play till they're fucking 35. That's not the way big men work.
JoJo's not any big man, but I agree with you, especially because he's put a lot of wear on them tires.
I'd say he's got 3 more years tops. 3 more years tops where I think he could play at this elite of a level. And I think that kind of plays into the window that you're talking about. They just signed Harden to the 3-year deal. You kind of are looking at it we've got a 3-year window. Here it is. Either, you're kicking the door in and winning a championship, or it's probably not happening. You're going to have to completely go through another process of trying to rebuild a team and.
So you think at this point in time it's all about trading Harris and Thibault and a pick or something and getting
I would trade them in a heartbeat. Thibault is so overrated. He really is. He's not even like an on-the-ball defender. When you watch Matisse Thybulle, he never locks somebody down one-on-one. He's an off-the-ball defender. You know what I mean? And then that's really what he is. He's not like somebody that's locking you down defensively, like one-on-one sort of thing.
He's the guy who creates disruptions in weird passing situations.
Sure, and then he gives me absolutely nothing on the offensive end. I mean, he really did. It's not like he's even developed some sort of offensive game. There's absolutely nothing that he does positive for me on the offensive end to make me go, yeah, what you do defensively makes this all worth it. It's just not. So, I mean, I'm like, yeah, peace. I got a deuce with him to get another guy. Like, I got to get somebody in here. Trade for somebody.
What do you think? What do you think they wind up doing? Do you think they wind up sticking with it, or do you think Morey makes a play?
No, Morey's got more moves playing. Like Morey's not a guy that sits there with his thumb up his ass. He's got shit going. There's always shit cooking in the Morey.
Is it going to be more free agent or trade?
Probably trade, I would think. He's a guy that's always trying to get creative and find different ways to, make an impact. I would love a PJ Tucker signing. I think you need attitude. You need something like that. I know he's 38. I don't give a fuck about that. What I give a fuck about is the fact that he's going to walk into my locker room, especially if you can trade Tobias Harris. Yeah, then you open up a lot of space. But I love the fact, you know what PJ Tucker is going to bring to my locker room? PJ Tucker is going to – if PJ Tucker walks into your locker room and you're soft or you're not committed to winning, or you shouldn't be committed to winning the way that you need to be at this level, PJ Tucker will smack you in the mouth and make sure that you're committed to winning the way that you need to be successful. Like, he's not a guy that's just going to put up with that bullshit at this point in his career. I like that. I need that guy. Come in and show these young kids what's up. This is how you work in practice, youngin. This is how you get better. This is how you approach yourself and approach the game and prepare every single day. This is how you watch film. This is how you study your opponent. This is what it takes to win at this level. Take notes. And no, like having this, I'm just good enough attitude isn't good enough. That's bullshit. That's nonsense. Needed a guy like that 3 years ago, and Ben Simmons would have got the kick in the ass he needed a long time ago. Ben Simmons is like that kid that never got his ass beat. Always got everything he wanted. Goes to the store, take him to the candy section, take him to the toy section, take him to the video game section, buy whatever he wants. Mommy, I want this. Daddy, I want that. Buy me this and buy me that. I want. And he just was spoiled and entitled his whole fucking childhood, leading up to his, in all of his informative years. That this is what you got. This is your end result. Nobody ever gave the kid an ass whooping when he finally needed it. PJ Tucker would have walked into that locker room and been like taking his belt off and been like, now I don't give a fuck. Sit down and shut up. With this nonsense. We wouldn't have had any of this shit. We probably would have won a championship by now.
How many? If that happened when we had Simmons, Butler, and Embiid, and they were able to put something together, do you think they should have won one or two?
Yeah, the year we lost to the Raptors was the year we should have won it. That was the year where you had it. It's just everything was adding up and playing out in your favor. You can't lose that series to Toronto. You just can't. I know Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard, right? And he's really good, but you just that was the series that that got away from you. That was the one that kind of everything took a nosedive from there. And the Ben Simmons situation blew up in your face, and just everything from that point forward wasn't the same.
Ben Simmons
it broke their spirit a little bit. It really did. I mean, like that was that was their year. They thought it. They knew it. You could feel the energy with that team. They thought it was their year. They knew it was their year. And that series against the Raptors with the triple doink or whatever you want to call it broke their spirit.
That's going to be the one, I guess.
What's that?
I said, I guess that's going to be the one that if they don't ever get one over, that'll probably be the one that I guess everyone remembers is that, like you said, broke their spirit, right?
Yeah, I mean, the two best players on that team were Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry, and that's who you let beat your core of Joel Embiid.
Jesus Christ.
I'll entertain the masses for a moment. For all you wrestling fans out there, I've kind of got this Damian Sandow thing going on, so your intellectual savior of the masses or whatever his little image used to be. But yeah, that was the year. By the way, watching the College World Series game, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and they just lined the ball off the pitcher's leg and then shortstop threw him out at first base. College baseball is so awesome. Ole Miss has a no-hitter through like 5 innings. But, yeah, college baseball is so awesome. They still bunt. They still steal. They still play hit and run. So much better than what you see in the major leagues a lot of times. But Steven's now back. So, yes, back to our NBA point. Yeah, I mean, you had your core of Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons was actually producing at that point. Ben Simmons wasn't scared to dunk the basketball or make an open layup at that point. It might have been Ben's best all-around year, was that season, right? You had great role players. You had other pieces that you said, okay, you got a couple other guys that are good players that maybe aren't superstars, but overall that team, top to bottom, was better than that Raptors team. That series can't happen. That's the one that, you do look back. And if you're a player in that series, you look back at it and you go, if Joel Embiid never wins a championship, that's going to be the one that keeps him up at night the most. It's going to be that series. So, I mean, here's your window, though. It took you a couple years to get your swagger back and kind of feel like you could be that team again. Now you're kind of smelling yourself a little bit again. Feel like you could be that team. One more trade, something like that, one more signing of some kind. I have no interest in Eric Gordon at all. PJ Tucker, yes, I do not need Eric Gordon in here. He's garbage. He doesn't bring anything to me. PJ Tucker brings the attitude I need, sure. And that, and even his attitude alone might give you what you need to understand, hey, this is what it's going to take to win now. It's an attitude thing. It's not just about talent and whatever. So I think the Tucker signing makes sense in all those ways. But I would still think Morey's got something planned from a trade. He's not done there. But, yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think
if you're going to win a championship as the Sixers and as Sixers fans, it's going to happen here in the next 2 to 3 years. Here's your window. And then if it doesn't happen, we're going to see a lot of bad basketball in this city for a long period of time again, Steven.
Well, what do you think? What do you think he's going to get back for, like, the Tobias, a pick, and Matisse? I guess is kind of the.
You give Tobias a pick and Matisse,
huh?
Yeah. Tobias, Matisse, and like a first round pick next year. I mean, you can bring in, you're not getting a superstar probably, but you're bringing in somebody that fits whatever role you need or you've identified as the role that you need to fit on the team at that moment. Whether you need a perimeter shooter, whether you need, a guy that can do a little bit of everything, whether you want a guy that was supposed to be like Bryce Harris is supposed to be kind of all-around type player that just didn't really be, he just isn't that guy for you at this career. Whatever it might be, you go out and you get that guy. You target somebody. I mean, if you want that package, but it's also not going to be a scrub. It's also not going to be some guy that's at the back end of most teams' bench. It's going to be some guy that can make a significant impact.
And I guess with that, it's time to switch it off to baseball, right? At that time.
Sure. Giants are up 5-1, which I like. I got the Giants -1.5 over the Reds, so up there up 5-1. The Red Sox game, I just needed both teams to score 2 runs. Now I've got the Rockies and Twins, and I just need both teams to score 2 runs in that game. The Twins already have 2. Last time I checked, the Rockies didn't have any. I'm starting to be a little bit worried about that one. But it seems like if that would have hit, then all I need is the Phillies game, Phillies Padres tonight. Both teams to score 2 runs in that game, and we'd have a winner. We'd cash it. So top of the 5th inning. It's still early, but yeah, top of the 5th inning. Rockies don't have any runs yet, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, right.
Archer's pitching pretty well. Chris Archer. We've got a Chris Archer sighting. It's gone 4 innings. Only allowed like 1 hit. It's got 5 Ks, so yeah, he's pitching pretty well. So yeah, but you'll be surprised actually if you look at that that's the new betting trend with baseball. If you look at like if there's 14 games in a night, if you got 14 Major League Baseball games in a night, obviously that's 28 teams playing, right? In those 14 games, 10 or 11 of them, both teams will score at least 2 runs. Like that's how good the percentages are. So you could literally just go pick 3 games at random and bet those 3 games for both teams to score 2 runs, and get a plus money parlay and throw like 20, 30, 40, $50 on it, and you'd be able to walk away with you bet $50 to win like 75 sort of thing. Like that's the new trend with baseball right now, because betting money lines in baseball has always been volatile. It's always been hostile. Just like today, the White Sox, they got swept by the Orioles at home in Chicago. They get swept by the Orioles. The White Sox were a sexy pick today on the money line because you lose 2 in a row to Baltimore. Okay, you're not going to get swept at home by Baltimore, but they do. A month ago, the Dodgers got swept in L.A. at Dodger Stadium by the Pirates. So, that's the way baseball goes on that end. But, a week ago, we thought the Phillies were going to be a World Series contender, because they were in the midst of winning like 12 or 14. And now we're back on that yo-yo effect. It kind of feels like Joe Girardi's managing this team again.
It gives us the yo-yo effect.
It feels like Joe Girardi's managing this team again, doesn't it?
Zach, before we get too far into it, we got, this segment is brought to you by who? What? Brought to you by who? Brought to you by who? The Manscaped guy.
Manscaped. I mean, that's your thing, because we know I don't shave anything.
Make sure you're using that ATD code, 20% off free shipping for all the needs they got for the our trimming needs, deodorants, everything like that. They got some new boxers over there. Make sure you use the code to make sure everything's cool and clean down there right now, especially this time of year, because the heat's what? Heat's a little crazy right now, ain't it?
I mean, do I look like somebody that shaves anything? I mean, let's be honest here. But I mean, yes. If you're somebody that is into the shave game, the shave wave, as I like to call it. I'm not into the shave wave, but if you're into the shave wave, Manscaped.
It's the wave now.
It is a wave. Manscaped can be your own personal escape to your own personal shave wave.
You're too much, brother.
Should work in marketing. Be so awesome.
Listen, like I said, man, the fan shoot me some screenshots. Let me know you ordered something. I'll get you entered in for some giveaway stuff. I got a whole bunch of stuff I need to unload. I'm waiting for some stuff to get back. I know Adam Character let me know he sent that stuff back. So we're gonna have some stuff to give away this summer, especially for our loyal fan. Like I already told Dave to shoot me over his info. So.
I'm gonna be mad if the Rockies at least run. I'm with you, David. They changed the momentum of this series around by winning Game 5. You're down 3-1. You're in Colorado, right? Colorado lets you win Game 5, make it 3-2. Now they get to go back to Tampa. That's all.
I know. And what we were talking about, like it was
Oklahoma just
like 4, right? 4 or 5. After those first 2 games, it was dire. It was dire.
Yeah, I mean, they win Game 5. Now it's 3-2. You go back to Tampa. You could legitimately win this series now all of a sudden. Tampa could see their way to see their way to a three-peat all of a sudden after being looked like they were left for dead.
Yeah, we were on here a week ago laughing about it, like 3-peat, right? You're talking about how the Avalanche can turn around and turn it into a back-to-back of their own,
It's just you kind of feel like if you're Colorado, you almost know you kind of let it get away last night too, right? You kind of sit there and you're like, damn, like we were at home, the cup was in the building, chance to clinch, like. You almost now we got to go back to Tampa for Game 6. This is gonna suck, like you just almost kind of feel this momentum. And then if it gets to Game 7, oh hell!
People gotta underestimate that what that does. You're going out there to Colorado to back to Florida. some guys can't really handle that trip as much too.
Yeah, go from Colorado, where it's probably really comfortable right now. All of a sudden, you go to Florida, where it's like 110 degrees. You're probably going to be like, oh, my God, what has fucking happened here? Bet you that plane ride was fun. Not, but, hey. Like, yeah, again, like now all of a sudden Tampa wins Game 6, and who has the momentum in Game 7? I think the Lightning got the momentum going into Game 7 at that point. All the pressure's on Colorado because you're the one that's going to blow the 3-1 lead if you lose. So, it becomes one of those things where, Tampa's just kind of free rolling at this point. Like, fuck it, we were left for dead.
What's up, Brizzo?
We got a chance to come back. Imagine three-peating, and your three-peat is coming back from a 3-1 deficit. Like, oh, man, not only are you three-peating, but you're doing it in style.
Yeah, right. I think someone is going to the hospital, or leaving the hospital, rather.
What happened? Who?
I can hear it over my headphones. Someone's being airlifted out of the hospital.
Oh, you're that close to the hospital, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You didn't realize that when you're here, brother.
That's fun.
Oh,
so the
man.
Phillies. So the Phillies 2 nights ago beat the Padres. First, they get swept by Texas, which I know people were mad about, but Texas is better than a lot of people think. Now, I agree you can't get swept there, but it's not like I think like people are making Texas out to be like one of the worst teams in baseball, and Texas is like a 500 team. Like, they're better than people think. Martin Perez, who beat us in Game 2, is really, really good this year. Got an ERA under 2. He's been phenomenal. Rangers won again today, by the way. So, it's hard. Yeah, it's rough getting swept there in Texas, but they're a good team. We shouldn't have got swept, but I don't think that's as big of a deal as people are making that out to be. We faced John Gray and Martin Perez in that series. 2 guys that are really good. Gray won again tonight. He went like 7 innings and gave up 2 runs. So, they're both really good. But the Padres series, you're like, all right, now you're going out west to a first-place team. It's going to be tough. You go and beat them, like 6-2 in Game 1. Just rolled them. Had a great Game 1, and then your ace goes out and deals last night. You can't lose that game last night. You just can't do it. It's just you're coming off the momentum from Game 1 where nobody really expected that type of performance. Then you got your ace coming to pitch, Game 2, absolutely deals for you, and you lose 1-0. Now you got to go with like Zach Eflin tonight, and you're like, good luck. Like, now we're going to lose the series, because you got Eflin. You got to take advantage when Aaron Nola deals the way he did last night, and we haven't taken advantage of it really all year. It's so stupid. How does Nola pitch like this and we can't score for him? Like, what is the deal there?
So is it official? He's the ace now. He's the ace that we've been.
Like this year, he's the ace. Last year, Wheeler was. Right now, I mean, your ace is who's pitching like your ace at the moment. That's who your ace is. And yeah, this year he's been our ace. He's been phenomenal. He's just, he's the guy this year that you would say has been our best pitcher. It's not that Wheeler's been bad, but that Nola's been your ace. But like, you're on the road. Like, it's one thing for your ace to deal at home. Your ace goes on the road and deals on the road like the way he does, and you lose 1-0. That's a game you got to win on the road when your ace deals like that. And then to make it even more like crushing is his brother fucking is the one that got the RBI, the only RBI to win the game. Nola's brother Austin, who's the catcher or whatever for the fucking Padres, gets the hit. That's the RBI to knock in the only run that wins the game. I mean, good Lord.
So we're just about the end of this month right now. We're all excited at the end of last month because of how big it was. By the time we come back on here, it'll be July again. So how are you feeling about this team? 2 months in now.
You got a chance you got a chance to make a run at the wild card and be a playoff team. That's why you got to look at it. You're right there in the midst of a playoff race at what is pretty much the midway point. or maybe not quite the midway point, but still, it's not a bad place to be. But that's even more of a reason for why you've got to capitalize on performances like last night. You fought your way. You won 11 of 13 or whatever it was to fight your way back into this playoff picture when it really looked like we had no chance early on. The Mets were running away with the division. There's just too many good teams in other divisions for you to think you had a chance in the wild card, and it just really wasn't looking good. All of a sudden, you fire Joe. You go and win 11 of 13. You fight your way back into that picture by sweeping the Brewers, a huge series where you sweep the Brewers to get yourself back in great position, and then you kind of give it all back a little bit there. Excuse me, you give it all back there by getting swept by Texas. And now, you're in a position where losing a series to San Diego doesn't help your matters either, because they're another team that's kind of there, fighting for you for one of those wild card spots, because the Dodgers are really good in the West, and the West is just a really good division in general. The Diamondbacks aren't bad, not as bad as people want to make them out to be, at least. The Rockies can beat you on any given day, type of thing. It's one of those things where we've seen this over the past few years. We finished a game out of the playoffs the one year, right? And you're like, every game does matter. This idea that it's early or that it's still June or whatever, that idea really gets old. Are you tired of hearing that, Steven? Or is that just something that you're like, it's whatever, it's still early, yeah, great.
Like we always hear in baseball, like we when are we going to start worrying about Nick at this point in time? Because obviously, Kyle's doing his thing right now, right? Kyle's doing his thing. We'll see if he'll
in June. That's his month.
He typically does in his career as it gets warmer, and things of that nature. But are you worried about Nick?
I don't know if I'm worried. Nick Castellanos is one of those guys that's a professional. He's a professional in every sense of the word. So I get it. He struggled, and this is baseball. No, it's obviously not ideal that that you go through a funk like this. But I'm more worried about JT, because I think JT's a guy that you look at and go, again, you can only play an elite catcher position for so long. That's one of those positions that wears you down, and at some point you're just no longer the player that you once were. And maybe JT's getting to that point. Once you're a catcher and you hit a wall, you hit a wall. Not everybody's Pudge Rodriguez or Yadier Molina. And even Yadi, Yadi's hitting like 215 this year. It's not like Yadi's a good offensive player, right? It hasn't been for quite a few years now. So, I'd be more worried about JT. Nick's a professional. At some point, he either figures it out or he doesn't. But I look at that. We remember like when Pat Burrell hit like 209 in 2003. You know what I mean? And he had just like had one of the worst years ever in the history of just like, wow, this was really bad. And then the next few years actually ended up being 3 of the best years of his career, because the guy was a professional. Pat Burrell was a guy that you just looked at the way he approaches the game. He's a professional. This isn't going to affect him long term. And I think the same way in Nick Castellanos. You tell he's frustrated. Sure, anybody be frustrated in his situation. But I don't think it's going to affect, it's not somebody that's going to make him a total train wreck and derail his confidence or something like that. I think the jokes about him living in Ben Simmons' house are kind of funny. And that's funny to me.
Yeah,
you buy Ben Simmons' house and you turn into a total loser.
I think fans
it's
might
funny,
need to do
but,
like a jersey burning to just like rid him some of this bad juju that I think people think he has.
That's funny, but what are you gonna do? If anything, that gives you more hope. You say, okay, Nick Castellanos hasn't, found group all this year, nothing close to the all-time player that he could be. You're still right there in the
getting every third ridiculous.
If he has a good final 2.5 months of the year, say post All-Star break, Nick Castellanos is one of the best hitters in our lineup, and down the stretch he helps you make the playoffs. You don't really give a fuck about this first half, do you? I don't. There's probably some people that do, but I don't. I personally don't. Baseball's a long year, right? It's what have you done for me lately? Go help me make the playoffs. Be big down the stretch. What happened?
I guess that's one of the only times that early games don't matter, right?
No, it's not that those are the only games that matter. But if you're big enough for me down the stretch where you help me make the playoffs in August and September, like your performances at that point outweigh your performances from earlier in the year that maybe weren't as good, right? Like you're playing in down the stretch drive of a season where you're saying, okay, every game's a playoff game or has playoff implications at this point. If you can be, the best offensive player in my lineup during that stretch, yeah, everything can be forgiven for what happened in April and May. You have to make the playoffs, sort of thing too. Like that goes hand in hand. You can't just come up a couple games short and be like, oh, what a great September he had. Great. Now to make up for him struggling the first few months because we missed the playoffs by 2 games. At the end of the first few months, that doesn't happen. So, it's he's in a position where he can redeem himself. He still has enough time this year to make enough of an impact where you can go, okay, I'm not worried about your struggles in the first half. It is what it is. I mean, are you going to sit there and worry about it? Are you worried about it?
What was that?
I mean, it's. I said it is what it is. It's not something I can worry about. Like, he either figures it out or he doesn't. Are you worried about it? Is it like you
want him hitting, obviously you want him producing, but
yeah, that's the only thing good that he does. He can't play right field to save his life, so yeah, he needs to hit, but it's the other side of it.
Yeah, right.
But he does seem like a guy that in the clubhouse, and I think baseball is one of these things. This is actually more important than maybe any other sport because winning is contagious, and you've got guys like him and Bryce and Schwarbs. Even when Schwarber struggles, he's another guy that's a complete professional, right? Like that type of shit's contagious to young players, and it rubs off on Bryson Stott and guys like that who, can, and are kind of picking up the slack in certain areas, and maybe Nick Castellanos struggles or whatever. It's all down in the end. I'm not worried about it. But we play off for bust, and it's still that way. Like you don't need to make the playoffs. Have to. But it lasts a little bit. You got to find a way, I guess, to improve this pitching staff in some way. Bullpen preferably, but even if that means bringing in another top of the rotation on. You gotta think about that too, don't you? Steven, what are you watching over there? The fights? Steven's watching the UFC fights.
I'm breaking up, so I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know how many times.
Well, you gotta tell me I'm breaking up, or else I don't know that I'm breaking up.
What does it matter? You're gonna keep breaking up in one way or another, regardless.
So we're just gonna let nobody hear me? Am I talking to myself?
I catch every third word. I don't know what to tell you, dude. When you try to ask me a question, you cut me off. I don't know what to tell you, dude. And here we go. Back to nothing.
We're connected to the internet now. Does this help?
You just cleared up. And froze again. Gotcha.
I'm frozen again?
Well, no, now you're back again.
Now I'm back. Okay. Let's see if we can keep it this way.
Yeah, about that.
Well, you have to try to make a move at some point to improve this pitching rotation, whether it's a top end of the rotation guy or a bullpen arm.
Yeah, you already know how I feel about that, man. They need the help in the bullpen, without a doubt.
But if you can't get a help in the bullpen, then give me another top end of the rotation, starter type guy.
Who are you moving out?
I told you last week, I think I'd start with Mick Abel because he's a guy in my system that is, a top 100 prospect that is going to have, a lot of interest around the league. And then I'd probably try to Mickey Moniak, something like that. I mean, you're going to go Abel, Moniak. I don't know, and give me another name that, probably Didi or somebody like that. You want to Gene or Didi is going to be a guy that you're trying to move, because then you can put Stott there full time, and, Bohm's going to play third base, and you just rock with whatever problems come with that, whatever inconsistencies might happen. But yeah, I mean, if you go Mick Abel, Mickey Moniak, and like Didi Gregorius, you can get yourself a top end of the rotation arm at the deadline. You can get yourself the best closer on the market too, for probably just two of those guys. There's options there. We've got enough. I told you the only guy I wouldn't want to trade in our system right now is Andrew Painter. I think for me, he's completely off limits, because we're just in such a desperate position where we need to try to develop some sort of talent through our system. And Bryson Stott looks like a guy offensively that can do that. So now you need to find some sort of guy on, the pitching side of things. And, Abel looks okay. Yeah, he could be a good guy. He could be a guy that comes through the system and is that guy for you, but you just don't know. It's not a finished product yet. Andrew Painter looks like he's not just smoke and mirrors. There's legit substance there. And when's the last time we could say that about any type of arm in our system? When was the last time you could say that about any arm in the system coming up? 20 years? I mean, it's been a long time, right?
It wasn't Cole the last one to come through the system, right?
Probably Cole, yeah. That's probably the last time you'd say, okay, when did you have a guy that wasn't, he actually turned out to be substance and not just smoke and mirrors that came through your system? It was Cole.
But one, and then at the end you had to let him go because he just wanted entirely too much money to stay here.
Yeah, and we probably should have traded him at the deadline in 2012. You probably should have never signed him to the initial extension. But, big picture, 20 years from now, Cole's going to go down as one of the best pitchers, in Phillies history. He's on your wall of fame, and you're going to sit there and say, okay, I'm glad he spent as many years in the Phillies uniform as he did. So that all works out too.
With that being said, let's real quick switch gears. We'll get back to some baseball right after we talk to our good friend Nick Gebhardt here, and this interview is brought to you by Bar and Grill, which is located at 6700 Mill Creek Avenue here in Levittown, PA. Use that promo code A2D for 20% off your order whenever you dine in, take out. GleasonBarandSteaks.com. What is up, Nick? How you feeling, brother?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm great. How you doing? You enjoying summer so far?
Yeah, good summer. Training hard.
Me too. I've been in the gym. I've been lifting.
The fourth, what was it? I think like a week and a half.
Yeah, I fought 2 weeks ago, I think.
Oh, you got a fight next weekend?
No, I fought 2 weeks ago.
How that one go, brother?
Sorry, this thing's breaking up a lot. Bad echoing.
It is a little bit echoey.
But go ahead. You can ask me that again.
I said, how did that one play? I know. You've been catching that the unfortunate decision bug.
Yeah. I got the TKO win after the second round this one, so it was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Who were you fighting for this time?
I fought for Maverick. It was in the Poconos,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, they treated me great. It was a great show to be a part of. So I'm looking forward to fighting for them again.
Now you officially turned pro already, right now?
No. I'm 2-3 as an amateur. If I win my next one, I get a title shot. So I'm looking to win that belt and then sign the pro contract. But technically, I could go pro now.
There you man, get the experience in, man. You still want to grind a little bit and not just jump into it just so you can turn pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. I want to go pro right now, but I'm just gonna listen to my coach, trust my coach, and leave it up to him.
Now you've been paying attention to any of the Phillies basketball stuff. You do keep it up with any of the sports outside of just training, or is it you're just focused on getting better, brother?
Well, I gamble a lot, so I kind of like keep up.
Oh, so you're about to get Zach off over here.
Yeah. Like I'm not big into baseball, but I bet baseball every day.
No, he's a betting degenerate over here. So
You can't bet the money lines, right? You can't bet the money lines. I was telling Steven earlier, the new angle in baseball is both teams to score 2 runs. Like that's the new angle you got to try to bet now.
Yeah, I like them. No runs in the first inning, or runs in the first
one.
But yeah, I keep up with all the sports. I've always loved sports my whole life. I watch it, keep up with it.
So, what do you
This is
think
how I know
about
this guy doesn't just bet for fun. I know
just
this
came
guy's
out
serious about it.
this year? Go, Zach.
What was that?
Go, Zach.
No, so I guess I'm a little bit delayed. I said this is how I know this guy's serious about this. He doesn't just bet for fun. Like he knows all the good angles. He knows where to attack. He knows where to put the money. He's not just give me 3 teams tonight to win outright. He knows where he's putting his money and all the angles to attack. This guy's serious about it. I like this guy.
Yeah, I do a lot of research. I got different guys, that are good in each sport, hockey, and I text them every day to find out everything. I'm big on it.
What's the one you bet on the most? Was it baseball? Is it basketball? Is it MMA? What?
Well, tonight I bet UFC because UFC's on. I didn't even look at baseball, but mostly I've been betting a lot of baseball because that's on the most. Every day.
Baseball is the sport that's out right now. It's the sport that's in season. So, actually, speaking of the UFC's on, what do you think about Jeremiah's knockout over Court McGee last week?
Oh yeah, I seen that he was fighting, so I ran and deposited money at the store and placed a bet on him 5 minutes before he fought, and easy double up. It was good odds. I knew he was going to win that fight. And, yeah, he was easy money.
It's crazy when Jeremiah gets off the power he puts out because Court McGee's a real hard guy to put away.
Yeah, I mean Jeremiah Wells, he's a powerful. I mean, you could see him. He looks powerful as hell. I mean, I couldn't imagine taking a shot from
him. If he was probably like 2-3 inches taller, he'd probably be a middleweight, but because of that, he gets lucky and gets down to 70. I don't know how he does it. He's a freaking big guy.
Yeah, that whole team over there, Gracie and
was it 13-0 now?
Yeah, I think so.
Between Brady, Sabatini, Petrosky.
And Wells, yeah.
Yeah, Wells.
Yeah, they got a solid camp over there.
And we all forget Felder's kind of the one that kicked it off in the UFC, really.
Yeah.
For that camp.
I got a echo again.
Yeah, there we go again, right?
Yeah, it sucks too. My laptop for some reason isn't working, so I'm on my phone. But usually I do these on my laptop. So
I tell him all the time about this.
Yeah.
My other job told me I need to get a laptop now too, Steven. So it looks like I'm finally going to have to get one because Chipotle says I need one too. I guess if I want to be like a manager.
I've been telling you this, dude. Come on.
Like, you want to be a manager? You got to we need you to have a laptop so you can access certain things from home. And I was like, oh fuck.
Welcome to the 21st century, Zach.
Hey, I had one, but it was from 2015, and then it died because I guess they only last so long. I don't really know.
Oh man. And I'm the old head, right?
Yeah, I'm so terrible with technology. I really am. I'm the one like, yeah, I got my 9-year-old nephew shows me how to use all
You
this
feeling
shit on the
tonight,
phone.
Nick? I know you got bets going on. Like, what's the feel for tonight's bets?
I just got a bunch of $5 parlays, 10 leg parlays on UFC. I picked a bunch of different combinations of fighters, and I got a couple right now that they're doing good. So I'm just watching it right now.
So is that like a strategy you go with a lot of things? Like you're gonna throw $5 on like maybe 5 or 6 different parlays with all different combinations of fighters, and just hope that 2 or 3 of them are in a position to maybe hit by the end of the night, knowing at the very least you're making your money back, sort of thing. You know?
Yeah. I threw $25 up, just $5 parlays, just to have more interest and watch it.
And if one of them hits, you're probably up close to $100, couple $100 for the night. How much is like the payout?
All the payouts are like $350, $400.
So we're talking okay. So one of them hits, and you're plenty good.
Yeah. So I didn't like any of them enough. Sometimes I'll throw 100 or 200 on one fighter, or even a 2-leg, 3-leg parlay. But I didn't really like this card so much, so I just threw a couple bucks on it.
Which means it was
Not a
even.
bad idea. I never feel lucky enough to do that. I'm like, I could do that and throw $5 on like 5 different parlays, and then they'll all lose anyway. So
if you watch enough MMA, you can see how things can and should play out. Like, and when some of those bets goes through, that's actually like, oh, that's that. Yeah, there's no way he's not getting.
Yeah.
And you're also in a position where you can cash out at some point, probably, right? Like, all right, like maybe I'll just take my money now and $180 and win it.
Like 3 of your 5 legs or something. I'm done. Give me
Yep.
that.
I have one right now where they're trying to give me like $20 off the $5, so it's doing pretty good.
That means they're scared.
Yeah, that's what I say. Got them shaking in their boots.
Man, but as far as you guys, like obviously, you had the recent TKO win. Obviously, you want to get back in there probably, before the end of August or so, something to get something going again. What are you looking at? You just trying to find anything, in the general area, are you still going to stay with MMA? Maybe, I know our buddy, Timmy just pulled a boxing match, recently. So what are you looking to do next?
I actually, as soon as I won that fight, I had a bunch of offers. I have a pro boxing offer to go to Washington, D.C. and do a pro boxing match.
See, the problem when you do that is you have to go pro MMA at the same time.
Right, and that's the issue. My coach, I brought it up to my coach. It was for like $3,000. I'm fighting these amateur fights for nothing.
Dude, I know, dude. I know you want to do it. Just wait. Just wait till the end of the year. Wait till your coach just gives you the nod, man.
Yeah, so I'm like,
I know it's rough.
I'm like, I'm coming.
It's like, man, I've been putting all this work in, man. Let me get something.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll be there.
I know how it feels, bro, man. It's like, come on.
Yeah, so my coach was basically talking me right out of that, and there's a bunch of different MMA promotions that are offering me fights right now, all in the general area, Pennsylvania or New Jersey. But I'm definitely looking to stick to MMA. I'm not going to box unless it would be professional. I'm willing,
yeah,
but
like I said, just wait. That offer will still be there by the time you turn pro. Like it'll still be there.
Right. Yeah. So I think I'm going to fight for Maverick in either August or September, and whatever their next card is, I'm waiting to hear about an opponent and stuff. So I'm looking to get back out there, fight for them, win that fight, and then get their title fight, because they said, I win one more for them, they'll give me that title shot. So I've always wanted to be a champion and want that belt, so I'm trying to get the belt.
Get the amateur title to kind of cap off the amateur career.
Right.
Well, you'd probably go out with a 4-fight win streak at that point in time.
Yeah, I'd be 4-3, and I fought I already fought all the toughest guys around here. So I fought the 4th best guy in the Northeast out of 100 and something guys, and fought another kid that's like top. He's number 12, and then number 30. I'm number 32. So it's like I'm fighting.
He didn't like this draft. He's indifferent.
Frank is such a weasel. You can't weasel your way out of answering the poll question. Either you agree or you don't. I mean, good Lord. I don't know if you're a big basketball guy or not. Our poll question is Jabari Smith.
I'm going to pull it
will
up
be the
for
best
Nick.
player in this draft class.
We have the fake Skip Bayless going to hop in here too. So our poll question for tonight was, the draft. Was Jabari Smith the best player in that 2022 draft class? How do you feel about that one, Nick?
I think so. I don't know too much about this draft. I bet a lot of college basketball too, but I didn't specifically focus on the players. But yeah, from what I heard about
our troll Skip Bayless, it wants to know if you could beat his ass.
Yeah. I offer open challenges until I'm a professional. So if he's under 145 pounds, I'll fight him.
It's Skip Bayless.
I think I'll bet all of my future children.
Skip Bayless, and that's legit. He's under 140 pounds. You can ragdoll him, brother. And also, you don't have to do any punches. Just high crotch him to death.
Yeah, please choke him out, and I'll bet like all of my future children, like my mortgage, like everything on the fact that you would win.
Thing. Like half the the NBA and some NFL players would probably throw Nick some checks. I mean, dude, at this point in time, Skip is probably like the biggest weasel in large market media personalities, I guess.
Yeah.
How about pro wrestling? Would you face him in a steel cage match for me? Like I would, it's you and Skip in a steel cage match.
Yeah, that's my other thing. I want to get into that too. So I'd always be.
Oh, you want to do pro wrestling too?
Yeah, when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do when I joined.
All right, so mark me up your persona. What is it, man? I want to hear it. Like, give me your persona. Give me something, man.
I really never. That's the one thing I could never really like get together. I kind of was hoping that when I got into it, they would have like a plan for me or something. But I just know I could do it. I used to do it on the trampoline with my friends and like backyard wrestling type shit.
So you wouldn't know if you would be like a high flyer type dude or anything like that. I mean, I think
I would definitely be like a high flyer, and like just real fast and like a rainbow.
Like a guy like the Hardy brothers, like how they used to do it.
Yeah, they were my favorite growing up. Jeff Hardy.
So are you an AEW guy or a WWE guy? Like which company are you rocking with right now?
Oh man, here it comes.
So I definitely fell off over the years of watching it, but I know that AEW is running the game, right now. At least what I think. I just see WWE falling off a lot.
Yeah,
but
both in and outside of the news, they're falling off hard. They're infighting. A lot of things are going on over there.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Vince McMahon's going through what he's going through right now, right?
That's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? They got enough stuff going on. Then you hear Stephanie and Triple H are having issues, so that means there's fighting amongst the upper management there. That's never a good thing.
I think if you're a little kid, like WWE probably has the better product, but none of us here are kids, right? And if we want to be entertained by what pro wrestling is, AEW is where it's at. You get to watch these guys in the ring actually put on a show and be like, yo, what they're doing here is cool. It's not corny. It's not cheesy. This is legit badass stuff. And I don't feel that when I watch WWE.
Yeah, that makes sense. For sure.
Man. Well, I know. We got some more things we want to go on. You got anything you want to continue to talk with us about, Nick, or you want to kind of enjoy the rest of your evening, catch the rest of these fights? I know you always love hopping on here with us, but we got some more things we want to talk to. I know Zach still wants to get some baseball stuff in, and maybe we get some football stuff in too.
Nah, you guys are good. I just wanted to hop on, talk to you guys for a little bit. I'll
Oh, I
watch
know,
it.
brother. I appreciate the love. Always hopping on, thinking of us. It's gonna be fun. We're doing things a little bit differently formatted moving forward with the interviews and stuff like that. So make sure everyone keeps into it. Nick, you know how I always kick this off before I let you go. Throw the proverbial mic over to you. Anyone you'd like to thank, trainer partners, teammates. Shoot out those social media sites. Let everyone know where to follow you. And anything else you want to say, man? The time is yours, man.
Yeah, just I want to thank my gym, American MMA and Wrestling. Thank my sponsors, Brandon Keller, The Seller, DPI, Danny Diamond, Web Raven. I want to thank all my training partners, Daimir Rappa, Brando, Rich Radavalo, Ross, Mata. There's a bunch of guys, but just want to thank my whole team, my family, everybody supporting me, and we're just gonna keep going, keep winning. And that's it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, brother. Keep doing your thing. Hopefully, we can get that get that pro debut by the end of the year, beginning of next, and get you back on here at A2D at some point in time.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the fights. Best of skill. Hopefully, you get everything lined up the way you want it. Like I said, we'll get you back on here and have some more fun, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, that was Nick Gebhard, local, amateur bantamweight, getting ready to make a run and make his pro debut. So, always fun catching up with Nick. How you feeling over there? You actually had one of the interviews you could actually engage with for once.
I'm just enjoying this College World Series Game 1, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Ole Miss has got this Tim Elko kid who's like, he hit a home run earlier in the game. He's got 24 home runs for them. It's a single season record for them. But he just hit a ball in the hole with a runner on first base and 2 outs. Just hit a ball to right field in the hole, and guy went first to third. He's just such a good all around hitter. I don't know where he's projected to go in the draft, but I love advanced college hitters, guys that can come through your system quickly, and they don't necessarily need to be stars at the big league level. But if they're just guys that can give you professional at bats and be professional hitters, advanced college, you have a guy that steps into your lineup and can hit 280 and give you 20 homers, 25 homers, that sort of thing. Some fun names in the baseball draft this year. Kumar Rocker, remember he got drafted. He pitched at Vanderbilt. Remember he got drafted by the Mets last year, 10th overall, but didn't sign because there was concerns about his elbow. Oh, he could have elbow issues in the future. What pitcher doesn't have elbow issues at some point in their career now? Then they go and get Tommy John surgery, and they come back, and Justin Verlander at 38 looks he's 27 again. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you just get Tommy John surgery, your arm's brand spanking new, and you're a better pitcher than you were before. Who gives a fuck? He's pitching an independent baseball this year. Now he's going to be in the draft again. I need the Phillies to draft him. They got this kid from Tennessee, Ben Joyce. Pitches at the University of Tennessee, can throw 104 miles an hour. I don't get it. He's the 100th best prospect. Draft him in the second round. I don't give a fuck. Just get me guys that got great stuff, electric stuff, and I'll roll the dice and see what the fuck happens. But I need him to make an impact now. Nick Abel's a high school arm. Painter's a guy that you look at and go, okay, great, young arm coming through the system with electric stuff. Now just give me guys and get guys out at the big league level. Because we don't really have a lot of them on this fucking roster right now, do we? Whether it's I don't need you to come up and win me 20 games in my rotation, but can you just get guys out in the 7th inning or something? Holy shit! Is that good Lord? You could throw 104 miles an hour. You got to be able to get somebody out at some point here, right? Jesus.
Yeah, but isn't the problem that it doesn't matter the heat? Yeah, you still have to be able to control it and have more than one pitch.
Well, he's got a breaking ball too, but Ben Joyce's story was he was 5'5" when he was a freshman or sophomore in high school. Now he's grown to 6'2" or 6'3". He pitched in community college for a year, came to Tennessee, blew his arm, got Tommy John surgery, missed the whole year. Now he's a redshirt junior pitching his first year of college baseball, and he throws 104 miles an hour. He couldn't throw faster than 98 or something like that before. Now he throws 104, and he's got this breaking ball to go with it. But you're just all right, you haven't, you don't know how, you've never pitched with 104 mile per hour stuff before until this year. So he's kind of figuring all that out. But 104 is 104. Oh yeah, you throw 97 and you throw it dead straight, guys can square it up. You throw 104 dead straight, it's still 104. Good luck. Like, I mean, how many guys throw 104? For God's sake, everybody can throw 97.
A lot of guys can still hit 104.
Can they? How do they know? When was the last time they saw 104 mile per hour pitching? Everybody sees 95. Yeah, great. I got anybody's got somebody on like, great. Yeah, 95 mile. Everybody throws 95 in the big leagues. Like 3 guys maybe throw over. Like you got some guys that can throw 100, but how many guys can throw over like 102? Like Aroldis Chapman. Like, you know what I mean? Like how many guys can you got some fireballers, but when you get to like 104, now you're just talking about like insane type velocity. He set the college record, like 105.5 mile per hour fastball or something this year, 105.5. It was the fastest pitch in college baseball history. Good luck. How do you see that? How do you react to it? Am I just like closing my eyes and swinging and hoping I make contact? I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's a 50-50 shot.
Maybe. I might just like lean into I'm just going to lean towards home plate and just hope he throws it close enough to me where it hits me. But at 104, it might break my fucking elbow. So I don't know if I want to do that either.
All right, so
it would definitely break my elbow. Let's be honest. I'm 120 pounds. He could almost throw as fast as what I weigh. That's scary. Like, holy shit. Like, that's not. When was the last time you saw 120 pounds, Steven?
120 pounds? I'm not sure.
You were like 11?
120.
Probably younger than that. Watch. You're going to be like, I was like 9.
No, actually, it was like 12, 13.
Okay. So, like then you hit puberty, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. As soon as I hit,
I don't know what happened with me. I hit puberty and grow a beard, but I still have got the body of like a 12-year-old. It's so weird.
79 and 89 pounds.
I can grow a beard now and shit, but I'm still built like a middle schooler. I don't know how this happened. Like it's.
You never grew into your man body.
I'm built like a middle school girl at that too. It's not even like I'm built like a middle. Like you got like middle school boys. That like you should see some of the 14U ball I umpire. You're like how dude, like how old are you? I'm 12. You're like bro. You're like 6 foot. You're taller than me, and you got to be like $160. Like holy shit. Like good lord.
The hormones they put on the milk, bro.
You've got a teenage daughter. I'm like literally like she's probably got more muscle tone than I do.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I've been getting messages from her doing what she was trying to ask me. Hey, Faye.
My wife's pregnant. She wants us to have. My wife's so excited. She's like, "Why don't you have a girl? You'll be a great girl, Dad. Oh, Daddy's little princess." I'm like. I don't know how this is like. She's gonna weigh more than me by the time she's like 13, and then feel so like insecure about herself.
But girls make you grow up fast. I'll say that much. Boys,
we all know I need to grow up. One way or the other. Well, I don't. We don't know how. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I don't care how it happens. But yeah, whatever it's gonna do to make me grow up and not be 29 going on 12 anymore would be nice. That's phenomenal.
I don't think that'll ever happen. We're always be a kid.
It might not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, us guys, we're that was an old Larry Anderson slogan. Yeah, Larry Anderson, when he was pitching for the Phillies, and that was like when he was like the oldest player in baseball in '93, and they were like, they were all the young guys like, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? And he's, oh well, you know my motto. You're only young once, but you can be immature forever. I'm like, that seems like the perfect motto to me. I'm with it. Let's rock.
Especially that clubhouse.
You're only young once, but you can be immature forever.
Especially that 93 team. Holy crap.
Remember when you were like 8 years old and you had a fort and you made like a secret password and nobody that knew, if you didn't know the password, you weren't allowed into the fort. And the password was always something like boobies or something like that. That was just so immature. And you're like boobies. I know, like boobies. At 8 years old, you're like, boobies. Like I'm still that way now. I'm like, boobies. Like that's how immature I am. Like
I'm sure
I get excited. I get just as excited about boobs as your like 10-year-old son does. It's so fucking crazy.
Jesus. Football.
What a segue. We're going from boobs to football. I'm with you.
Yep. One goes with the other, right?
I mean, we're men. We like 2 things: boobs, beer, and football. So 3 things, I guess.
Yeah. So Gronk, is he going to stay retired? And where do you rank him?
Gronk's like going to be the new Brett Favre. Like he just retires until training camp's over, and then like shows up in like week 3 when like you need somebody, and balls out for like the whole season. Like it's just like he's
yeah, right. Brady's gonna freaking kidnap him, like bonk him over the head, and put him in some training facility where he comes out, at the end of September or something like that.
He's gonna wrestle somebody at SummerSlam and then like end up showing up in the NFL like in week 2 or week 3, like a month after SummerSlam.
He's not gonna play in September at all. It's gonna be somewhere in October.
Right. Be like, like a month after SummerSlam, all of a sudden he's gonna sign some sort of contract with Tampa Bay. Watch, you just know it. Tom Brady talked about a retirement. Of course he did. Like, of course why not? Like, sure.
Because he's like the Grand Maester at this point in time. Jesus freaking Christ. Ugh.
I'm dead serious with it. He's gonna like show up and like he is. Like that the last time he retired, he showed up he showed up at WrestleMania. Kept himself in shape for 2 months and then showed back up in the NFL.
Oh man!
And he already talked about the time he pretended to.
Where do you put him tight end wise?
Oh well, he's a top 3 tight end of all time, of course. I mean, not what you did on the field, but you look at all the winning that he's done. I mean, is there a tight end that has more rings than him? No, right?
Why do we have to put it by rings though?
Well, I think when you're talking about a position like tight end, like.
If that's the case,
some guys had an impact and put up numbers.
I was arguing one, like 2 or 3 best tight end of all time.
Yeah. So Tony Gonzalez put up a ton of numbers. Antonio Gates put up a ton of numbers.
Gonzalez is definitely number 2 in my opinion.
Kellen Winslow put up a ton of numbers, but none of those guys put up numbers and then did the winning that Gronk has done. Gronk has not only put up those numbers, had that impact, been that guy that's like the stud at the position, for during his time in the league. But also on top of that has done all the winning that none of those guys did.
He's still the guy. If he's still the same guy without Tom Brady.
This Tom Brady. I mean, you could spin the argument the other way around and go, Tom Brady didn't win. Tom Brady had a stretch where he won 3 and 4 years, right? Beat us to win 3 and 4 years. They started dynasty.
Here's a question: Could if Kelsey wins another ring with Mahomes, you put him above him?
I wouldn't put him above Gronk yet. No, but Kelsey, I think, still has a lot of football left in him. So, that all remains to be seen.
He's got like 5 years.
Yeah, Kelsey, I think, still got plenty of time to be an impact player. He's building to his legacy, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, Gronk, when you look at what the Patriots did when they brought in Gronk and then Aaron Hernandez, part of the reason they did that was they wanted to run this 2 tight end system and exploit defenses in a way that they felt like it was kind of the new way to try to go exploit defenses, and really, be able to make an impact in the passing game. And they did. I mean, they did. They immediately did. Hernandez obviously
plays the short passing game football in New England when the weather's bad.
And then they went on another run and formed another dynasty with it. I mean, after winning 3 and 4 years early, they bring in Randy Moss. They have all that success. They put up all the elite offensive numbers, set all types of records, but they didn't win. Right? They lose to the Giants, and they kind of went through the stretch where they didn't win a ring in about a 5 or 6 year stretch. Where if you're Tom Brady, it's a long time to go without winning a ring. It might even been more than that. And then everything changed once, with Gronk and Hernandez and the way that dynamic changed. And then Gronk just took off to be this freak of nature that when he was healthy was just the most physically dominant, not maybe just tight end, but you're just talking about offensive receiving weapon in the game during his elite, the most elite years that he had there. And they were unstoppable together. That just the 2 of them together became unstoppable. And yeah, I mean, do the Patriots, does Tom Brady go through that next stretch where he ends up, they have another dynasty on top of the one they initially had earlier? Do they have that that second dynasty without Gronk being in the picture? Probably not. So I mean, that argument works both ways. And then he shows up in Tampa Bay, and they go win a couple more. They go win more rings together, right? You go to Tampa, and it's you kind of do you kind of recreate that magic again. Yeah, in a completely different place than you did the first time. So, yeah, that's special stuff.
Yeah, he's up there, guys. So,
and then on top of that, he's just Gronk. The whole personality of him being Gronk. Did any of those other guys show up in the in WWE and WrestleMania? Do any of you? It's just like
No, 'cause
like
we live in a
Gronk
different
being
age
Gronk,
now
and
that
that's all
he just
part of
got
it
put
too.
on this different pedestal or something, man. Come on.
You could talk about like when was the last time tight ends were that marketable? Like when like he really did like everything about what he did at the tight end position is kind of something that like you're just I mean there's a lot of things out not just what he did on the field, but you're like the type of superstar you became at a position like tight end. Antonio Gates was a superstar on the field, but like when did you ever see him in a TV commercial of any time? When did you ever see him in anything that wasn't football related? Tony Gonzalez was marketable. Tony Gonzalez was in plenty of TV commercials and, different types of marketing deals and things like that. For me, Tony Gonzalez was always like, I had him and Shannon Sharp as my two like top tight ends of all time. And then I think Gronk's now worked his way into that picture where you probably got a 3-man show where it's like, it's Gronk, Shannon Sharp, and Gronk, and whatever order you want to put him in, you can put him in. But then Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp, Rob Gronkowski, that's my 3 greatest tight ends of all time when I think of the way that they just the impact they had on the field and everything that they did for their teams. I think they're the 3 best.
I don't even remember what else I was going to say. You talked me out of it.
I can do that. It's part of my charm. You a Shannon Sharp guy? I know you're a Shannon Sharp guy. You like Shay Sharp.
Of course.
He's a guy that also like the way he changed that position, right? Like he could go line up outside and play receiver and line up against the cornerback and things like that too. Like he was versatile when he changed things where tight ends weren't that way, before Shannon Sharp kind of revolutionized that position in certain ways. And now we're seeing a lot of guys that play the game. If you're a tight end that can't go line up as a receiver, you lose value in today's game, right? You've got to be able to go line up off the line of scrimmage and be able to beat guys in the slot and different things like that. So I think that plays a part in it for me. I think I'd even put Kelsey right now. I'd put Kelsey already ahead of Antonio Gates.
I think that's fair.
I might even put Kellen Winslow Sr. ahead of Antonio Gates. Like Gates put up sexy numbers.
He's like one of the first. Like he was one of the first ones that changed the position.
Yeah. Gates put up sexy numbers for 6 and 7 win teams. Good for you. I mean, like somebody's got to catch all those passes from Phillip Rivers. Like it's, like, Jesus.
As Phillip Rivers was getting murdered for the better part of 5 years.
So.
All right, now I remember. Like all those PFF stuff had come out this week for the offensive line, and basically, anointed, Jordan Mailata kind of the next big thing as the offensive lineman. What are you feeling about that? Getting a little bit more love than Lane still does get no love. I don't get it.
Well, I think Lane's established himself as like that trusty veteran. Like people don't feel like they have to go give him a shout out anymore because he's established himself as that perennial, Pro Bowl type guy. So it's like, yeah, we know what Lane is. So you talk about other guys that you think can grow and become.
No, like we're talking about Mailata, like how we talked about, Jason Peters, 10 years ago.
I mean, I'm excited. I don't know. He does. I think he deserves the love that he's getting as far as, can he be that good? Yeah. I mean,
you got to think about it.
He broke out last year.
Where he got drafted, he was just a rugby player. Like, and 3 years later, he arguably an all-pro and, one of the best guys at his position. You got to tip your cap for that.
Yeah, I mean, he had a breakout performance last year. He kind of broke out with a full season type. Where you went, yeah, this guy, he can hold down that side of the line of scrimmage, sure. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about everything with this team outside of.
It's still one of the reasons why I think this team should be like run first coming into the season, regardless of what you put on the outside.
Yeah, well, you saw that they were ranked as the, I think the 4th best team in the NFC or something like that by Peter Knight, which I think is fair. I'm not necessarily a fan of Knight and all of it because he works for fucking PFF and Monday Morning Call, whoever the fuck it. He worked, kind of all right, like whatever. Like some of your shit's kind of crazy. He works for PFF and they're kind of all over the place sometimes. But I thought that was a fair. You're not going to put the Rams, obviously, or the Rams. They just won the Super Bowl. They're really good. They got a roster coming back that's still really good. That is what it is. The Packers are always good with Rodgers, right? The Bucks have Brady. They're going to be really good as long as they have Brady, probably. They might not be as good as last year, but you still, Tom Brady doesn't play for teams
All right,
that
so
suck.
take the Eagles off the list. Who would you put there?
I don't know if I would take the Eagles off the list.
If I'm forcing your hand, you have to take them off the list, right?
Who would I make my fourth best team?
Who do you have to put there?
Who's the fourth best team in the NFC at that point?
Yep.
Probably the Niners. Even with all the questions at quarterback, they still have a really, really good roster. They're well coached.
Dave says they're going to win it again this year. The Rams are going to
they have a chance, sure. I mean, I think that would be – they went all in. I mean, yeah.
Arguably the best defensive player in football in Aaron Donald, you have a chance.
Not arguably. He's the best defensive player in football.
You can sit there and say T.J. Watt's kind of taken over the league the last few years too.
I still think Donald's the best defensive player in football.
I disagree, but I'm sitting there. That's why I leave it open so everyone else can argue that fact.
Yeah, T.J. Watt's probably the second best defensive player in football. Yeah. They're close, sure. I mean,
they have a quarterback identity crisis, and we've seen how that plays out here in Philadelphia.
And they don't. And what's crazy is even with their quarterback identity crisis that's been going on for 3 years or whatever, now they still were a playoff team a year ago. So
that's the crazy part about it, right?
So do they suck or how good are they? I mean, how good are you when you can have that big of a QB identity crisis and still be that good? That's crazy good to have that type of QB identity crisis and still be that good.
Their defense carries them anyways. They've
got tons of talent.
They have, I think, one of the most underrated playmakers in football, and Deebo Samuel too.
And then they've got Bosa on the other side, right? Defensively,
they got Bosa, exactly.
You got tons of great players on that defense.
One of the best players in football because I mentioned T.J. Watt. You can't forget about Bosa.
I think he's out there. I think he gets his hand before he gets to the bag. College baseball is so good. They're reviewing a play here at third base on a steal attempt. But
oh God, Kyler Murray can take his ball and go back to baseball. How about that?
Yeah, the Cardinals. What makes me just hate them so much is the fact that they act like they've accomplished something. Like they act like they're this established NFL powerhouse type team when you won 9 games last year. Or good Lord, know where the fuck you are. Who are you? Who the fuck are you guys to be acting like anybody? The fuck are we talking about?
Maybe that's what the Browns do. They trade they trade Baker to Arizona to get Kyler out of there.
Well, that's a situation. I mean, good Lord.
That they don't have.
Yeah, that situation. Ole Miss just went deep. Wow.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate situation, and this is one of the reasons why me and Zach were telling Eagles fans, no matter what, to stay away from the Watson situation, and this is why.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get suspended here by the NFL, and he probably should. I mean, you just – I don't like – I'm still on the record. I've been on the record forever. Criminally, there's nothing here. He's a creep. He's a scumbag. I wouldn't want him around my daughter or any female member of my family. But being a creep isn't a crime. You're just a piece of shit, really, at this point. You're just a creep and you're a piece of shit. But that's not a crime. But yeah, you can't you know what? You at some point, the idea of being an NFL quarterback comes with a certain level of not everybody gets to be an NFL quarterback. There's a certain level of just integrity and kind of morally. more high moral standard that you kind of have to carry yourself with. And I'm not saying you've got to be some awesome person that like doesn't have any flaws. I mean, there's plenty of pieces of shit in the NFL where you're like, yeah, that guy's not necessarily a good person, but it is what it is. I mean, but this is just at a whole nother level. You don't get to get accused of sexual harassment or all different types of sexual, whatever fucking type of shit he's going through by 30 different. I mean, at this point, we heard 66 masseuses. I mean, like, so how many different women do you need to suck your dick before, like, you're satisfied? This is just, like, at some point, bro, you're just like yeah, like, you don't, like, you've carried yourself in a way that's so unethical. You do not deserve to be an NFL quarterback right now, and you need to go, like, pay some sort of punishment with your employer. You know, doesn't necessarily have to be anything here criminally, but any of us that have ever had a job that have worked for any sort of employer, you know, when the employers fire you because you get a DUI, guess what? You knew when you signed up for this job, that's termination right there. You get a DUI, they don't want to associate themselves with you anymore. They have every right to fire you and terminate their
Browns are in
employment
a real tough situation. The Browns are in a real tough situation.
You know,
if I'm Baker Mayfield, I hold them over the coals for it.
Yeah, Baker's like, fuck you, right? Baker's like, fuck you and fuck off. And the Browns are like, yeah, but we really need you. Like, Deshaun's going to be suspended, and now, like, we need you. And he's like, fuck you. You didn't need me 3 months ago. You didn't need me 6 months ago. Yeah, fuck you. Like, I played with, like, a busted shoulder last year. I had a torn fucking, like, labrum and torn rotator, whatever the fuck he was playing through. Tried to sit here and ball the fuck out to help him make the playoffs. And you guys don't do nothing but sit here and just fuel all types of talks that have been going on for, you know, a couple years now about whether or not he's going to get a long-term extension or whether he's going to be traded or whatever. And I'm not I like Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's a superstar necessarily, but I think he's a guy that, you know, when you look at you know, what he is as a player and you go, the Ole Miss just hit 3 straight home runs. Oh my God, they just went back to back to back. That's crazy. Oh man. That's good stuff. But when you know, when you look at what Baker is as a player, you're like, you know what, like, you could come be quarterback for my football team any day because you're going to give me everything you have, every snap of every single game. You've got a winning mentality, you've got a winning mindset. You know, there's nothing I can hate on Baker Mayfield about as far as what he is and what he tries to be as a player. I understand he's limited in some ways as a passer. I think we all get that. But when you put him in a situation, we've seen him lead the Browns to the playoffs 2 years ago because they have a good enough roster where, you know, they've got a playoff type roster. So he should feel disrespected in some ways. I understand where Baker Mayfield's coming from to feel like the organization that has been absolute dog shit for 20 years. You get there, you're the number 1 overall pick. You take them to the playoffs in your 3rd year as the quarterback, and they haven't been relevant in how long? They haven't been relevant in 20 years. You take them to the playoffs for the, and make them relevant for the first time in 20 years, and this is how they reward you? Fuck you. We're going to trade for a guy that's accused of sexual, crimes by 66 different women. I'd feel some type of way too. Fuck off. Like, fuck all the way off. I ain't showing up. I ain't playing. I ain't doing nothing. Now you want me to come be your savior? Fuck you.
What are you going to do?
I mean, if you're him, I think if I'm in his shoes, like, okay, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not doing this for you. This isn't for the Browns. This isn't for your organization. This is for Baker Mayfield because I need to, prove that I still have a spot in this league and that, hey, somebody next year needs to sign me to a contract of some kind to make me their starting franchise quarterback because I'm still a franchise quarterback. I don't give a fuck what type of trade you made for Deshaun Watson this offseason. So now I go and ball out, not for you, but more to stick it to you than anything else. Because if I go have the best year of my career, we all know I'm going to have plenty of options in the offseason for who wants me to come be their quarterback. And there's absolutely no chance of him signing in Cleveland, depending on what happens with this Deshaun Watson thing. I almost hope like Deshaun Watson gets like banned from the league forever or something, just so Cleveland can end up in a position where Baker plays well enough to sign a contract with somebody else in the offseason, become their franchise guy, and now Cleveland's fucked over again and ends up right back in the position they were before. Because you almost deserve to be in that situation after fucking over this dude. Great.
Oh,
Is he Brett Favre? No, he's not.
Absolutely. You know, I know a lot of people were clamoring for it. There was corners of the fan base that were clamoring for it.
Those idiots.
That stood steady with it. And just like, no, stay away, stay away. No.
Yeah, that was it. Just even without the criminal stuff, even without all the sexual harassment, assault, whatever allegations you want.
Well,
whatever,
whatever
it is,
basically like a slightly better version of Jalen. Why just leave? You have the same version of him already in your locker room.
It just right. I mean, like at this point, and we know how I feel about Jalen. But like you made your bed and now you have to lay in it. You made your bed with the Jalen decision. That is what it is. And you're riding and dying with him for another year. And you put everything around him where there's no excuses now. Go find out what the kid's about. Go find out what he can be. Go find out how good of a quarterback he can be in this league. Because if he ain't going to be like the guy with this team around him, he's never going to be the guy no matter where he goes. Because you've got that good of a roster around you this year. That's really the truth of it. You know? So you've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith with a solid running game, a great offensive line, and a really, really solid defense. I mean, a young quarterback couldn't ask for anything more than what Jalen Hurts
downplays right how good the Eagles are at tight end too. I mean, you've
got everything.
Probably the best route running tight end in football.
You're the weak spot of this team. Like literally, Jalen Hurts is like the one thing. Oh man. What's the one thing I question? Well, how good can Jalen Hurts be? That's your one question mark. That's what you're worried about. Like, that's where you're like, oh, if he can be, if he can take the next step, we're going to be really good.
And the guy he was last year, you can't even sit there and say anything about the other side of the ball anymore because Howie pretty much addressed that during the draft in the offseason. The defense is ready to go.
Defense is full of pimps. You got a bunch of young stud puppies on that defense. You got some pit bulls and some Rottweilers that are ready to get after it. They want it. They're hungry. They're coming for your throat. I like it. Some junkyard dogs on that defense, Steven.
I already said, I think they're going to go back to that quick rotation in the defensive front where they're moving guys around and in and out. Like, even if you have one of those situations where, offense is moving the ball, 6, 7, 8 plays that they'll probably have 4 different set looks for that drive.
Dude, just putting Jordan Davis on the field alone with guys like Fletcher Cox. I mean, Jordan Davis is the size of 2 human beings.
Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox. You still have to get Javion in there somewhere. You're gonna have Sweat, and you're gonna have whatever's left in the tank.
Marvin,
Brandon Graham.
We all forget about the kid
front, and that's still not including what you're gonna get for edge rushers and things from your linebackers and things like that. This defense is going to be fun to watch this year.
And we don't even talk about in that rotation the kid that we drafted from Louisiana Tech last year, who started to have started to come into his own in the second half of last season, and said, "Okay, this kid can be a player on the defensive line too."
Rush, right?
Marvin, whatever the fuck, Melvin, whatever the fuck, the kid from Louisiana Tech,
okay.
the third round pick or whatever he was that everybody was ripping last year because nobody knew who he was because he was from Louisiana Tech. And then he showed in the final 8 to 9 weeks of the season. Obviously, we still don't know his name. We're just forgetting his name right now. But But yeah, he showed in the final 8 to 9 weeks of the year. Everybody knows what we're talking about. And he showed that he can play. He showed that he can line up and play on that defensive line. So I mean, and Jordan Davis is the size of 2 human beings. I mean, it's literally going to take 2 people to try to block him. And then when you take 2 people to block Jordan Davis, and now you've got Fletcher Cox one-on-one, you can't block everybody. We already see what Fletcher Cox does when he's one-on-one. He just dominates you. So what are you going to double team everybody? You're going to double team Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox? Because go ahead and double team Fletcher Cox and watch Jordan Davis just eat, whoever he's single team with, he's just going to eat them for lunch. Not even take their lunch money. He's eating them for lunch. Like they became his lunch today. Like, you can't just block Jordan Davis with one guy. That's not something that happens. He just takes up that much space in the middle of your defensive line. I'm so excited for what this team can be. If everything works out, okay, if Jalen takes that next step at the quarterback position, this is a Super Bowl contending team. It really is. And I say that as somebody that's not a huge Jalen Hurts guy, right? And I've been well on the record with that, as have you been, and as Daniel's been that way. It's not like we're over here kissing Jalen's ass, trying to make him into, something that, we want him to be, and he's not.
Hard on him the whole time, man.
Sure, and we continue to be hard on him, and I think he wouldn't have it any other way. Jalen's openly said, how he likes that type of pressure on him. So good. Here's your chance, kid. Go prove all the haters, including me and you, wrong. Go prove all of us that said you don't have the arm talent to play at this level, at an elite level, the way that you need to be if you want to go win a championship. Go prove us wrong.
We still got our guys who like to hop in the chat and throw some statements at us. So we'll eat that. We'll eat that.
I've said forever, I want him to prove me wrong.
He's proven us wrong. I hope it's one of the times where Harry Roseman gets to sit there and go like, I get more people to sit there and say I was right. God, I love this. Because that's literally the how he's going to look at this, and he's lucky enough that he has a backup plan laid out for him that even if he was wrong, he can fix it.
Yeah, and Howie's, as we've seen, is always is thinking a couple years ahead. So if Jalen doesn't work out, he already has a plan in next year's draft for what he wants to do or where they're going to attack and where they're going to go with the quarterback position. It's all set up. It's make or break. There's never been – we always use that make or break year. This is the make or break year for this guy. This is the make or break year for Jalen Hurts.
Even though we won one in 17 and, we fell short, the two following years, I think the retool that Howie's been able to pull together since the bad signings, the bad draft picks, everything in between – I think within the next 2 years, he has a window right here, not only money-wise, but youth-wise, everything like that, combined with veterans. I think you probably have the best opportunity from now over the next 3 years to make a run and potentially steal a Super Bowl here.
Yeah, and the point is never to go win one, right? The point is to try to maintain that and sustain it.
We know how
you want to be the Steelers
here in the NFL.
You want to be, and it's not just necessarily about winning Super Bowls, but you just want to have sustained success, the way we did under Andy Reid, the way the Steelers do it, the way the Ravens do it. That's how you want to do it. That's what you want to be as an organization.
What Tomlin and Cowher did to Pittsburgh.
And look at Pittsburgh again. We all know I'm a huge Kenny Pickett guy. They draft Kenny Pickett. He ends up in the perfect position in an organization that doesn't lose. It's a winning organization. They're going to step in there. You've got a kid with, that can make all types of throws, and you think they're not going to put him in the best position to succeed. They might not go win the Super Bowl, but what do you think? The Steelers are going to stink all of a sudden? I've been saying that for months, and I'm so excited to see Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh because I got a lot of crap for saying Kenny Pickett was going to be the best quarterback in this draft class, and he's in the position to go prove that I'm 100% right. But this is what you talk about more than just that. It's about the idea of when – culture and all that matters, right? And when you look at being a young player and ending up in situations like that, where you end up and what organization you end up with matters. And Howie has kind of, over the past couple of years, gone from a guy that we were trying to run out of town that he's won a lot of people over. Has he not, Steven? He's won me and you over, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I think, not this draft, but, the last draft, this free agent class, I think, won him some fans back, things of that nature. He's atoned for a lot of his early mistakes, at the back end of the 2010s. Over the last few years over here in the 2020s, he's done right by this fan base, this team, this organization. You can't take that away from Howie. So right now, anyways, we ripped the guy unmercifully for a long time. For a long time, we ripped the guy unmercifully. We've destroyed Howie on this show, for the better part of 2 years. From 18 and 19, just how bad some of that stuff was, man. It was rough, man. But he's kind of turned the corner, like I said, with the last two drafts, this free agent class, like I said, that he's revamped that defense. We have one of the youngest, most athletic, most experienced offensive lines in the NFL. The praise that Jordan Mailata's getting. Drafted Dickerson last year. Obviously, losing Lane's right hand and Mr. Brooks is going to be rough, but we still got some studs there on the offensive line. You know, I know, we got a lot of things going on. With Smith, with Brown. I think me and you were already talking like as it's big on Jalen. I think it's a little bit bigger year for Miles Sanders to kind of turn that stone, turn that corner, so that he can be consistent and injury free. And that'll probably be the only real questions you have about this team moving forward, right?
Yeah. I like what Kenny Gainwell showed us last year. Another
he should be our return guy moving forward. I don't want to see Boston Scott back there anymore.
And another pick that, for Howie, you're like, hey, that was what a home run pick that was, right? A guy that stepped in and really had an impact in a lot of different ways for this team. Yeah. And it puts you in a position where you don't feel like you're forced to have to sign Miles to an extension. Yeah. And you know how I feel about signing running backs to extensions. I don't really care what type of year Miles Sanders has this year. He's not getting an extension from me. I don't need to waste that type of money on a guy at running back when I've got other options. And how he's proven he can draft that position really well.
Let's put a bow on this one. We're getting ready, getting up against the 2-hour mark, and we're trying to get us off here a little bit early. We're gonna have some more fun next week. I know that. I gotta get a few guests lined up in a few weeks, but we'll see what happens. Now this is gonna be a little bit changing how things go as far as that part of it goes. But other than that, another fun one here. Appreciate Nick's time. Zach is as always. Hopefully you got some ice for your Jules there, my friend, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Other than that, this is another fun episode of the weekly roundup here on ATD Radio. Make sure you're following on all the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, all that fun stuff. ATD Radio. We'll catch you guys next week. I'm Steve. That's Zach, and we'll see you guys around.